So, do you think that it is important for people to like you for you to actually make money? Or rather, do you think that the possibility of people liking you might make you a lot more money and improve your business skills, or rather just make you build a better network that is going to be worth your net worth? These are interesting questions I've had to ask myself over the couple of years in doing business. On this video, we are going to be talking about how likability actually increases your chances of making money within any business, in the workplace, whatever the case is. And likability is definitely a sales tip that I'm dropping today, and I'm hoping that you are kind of going to get where we're going with this and start improving those skills to be a lot more likable in whichever market you are in, so that you can make a bit more coin and improve your business. One of the biggest things that you need to actually realize is that, like any other thing in the business world, there's certain laws and just certain practices that operate and that people use and that happen within that sector that are just the way they are. Is it ideal? Sometimes maybe not, but they are just like that. I say it's things like appearance, for instance. We can talk about authenticity and showing up the way that you are and but you need to realize that to be accepted in certain areas and in certain spaces, you are going to need to look a certain way, speak a certain way, and present yourself a certain way. So likability is definitely one of them. There's a book I once read quite a couple of years ago by John Maxwell. I don't remember what book it was, but he said in this book, people buy from people that they like. And I didn't understand it then, because when I started my businesses, I just thought as if you just have a kick-ass product or service and just rock, I promise you, you are going to just be great. Like, that's all you need in life. You just need to have a good product and a good service, and you're gonna rock it. Until I realized that sometimes people will literally buy from the other person who probably has a lower standard than you are, or expensive than you are, or unreasonable than you are, but just because they connect with them and they like them. And that is basically how these things work. And over the years, I have really taken it upon myself to begin to learn how to be more likable in the spaces that I want to make money in. And this is an important skill to actually learn. So for the purposes of this video, I've kind of written down a couple of things that I'm going to help you with, or rather, like I always say in most of my videos, things that you can begin to start doing today that are going to help you to be a lot more likable in the spaces that you want to operate in. Like I always say with anything, personalize it to something that is going to work for you. Personalize it to something that is going to kind of be authentic to you. Don't do it how Michelle would do it, or how Lisa would do it, or how anybody else would do it, but do it the way that you would do it, because then that way you would have cultivated relationships genuinely from a point of view just improving whatever is already within you. More than anything, what I really want you to get from these tips is how do you then show these things within yourself. So let's start. Number one, likable people are sincere. For you to be likable, you need to be a sincere person. And being a sincere person, for me and how I have seen it, is that you need to be genuine. I always say that people can smell fakeness. Like, you can tell when somebody's been fake on video, on the phone, wherever. People can smell when you're being fake. People can see, people can sense it. People can also sense when you are being sincere. And sincerity is basically you showing up as just who you are with your sincere self. If you apologize to somebody, you can feel if an apology is sincere, right? But that sincerity is internal. Just be intentional about being in the spaces that you are in, and be sincere with who you are, and be sincere with other people. If you say somebody looks nice, be sincere about that compliment. Don't just say it because you're trying to spark up a conversation, because people are going to catch up on that, and you're not going to build the right networks and the right connections, because people will sense that you are just not being sincere. So that is very important. Being sincere actually in relationships is very good. It also helps people trust you. When you're sincere, people know that whatever you say or whatever comes out of your mouth and just how you do things and how you operate in business comes from a point of authenticity, comes from a point of genuineness, right? And then with that, it's so much easier for people to say, you know what, I like this person. Or for people to gravitate towards you, because they know that you're not gonna dilly-dally them, or you're not gonna be slimy with them, but you are going to be an honest person. And the second one is likable people don't always want something from people. Now, this is very important, okay? Because half the time when we are going out there to build relationships or to be likable, sometimes we smell desperation for something. It's like, you know, when somebody is coming to you, but they have an ulterior motive of what they eventually want to either ask you or to get from you, that is one of those things, right? And for you to be likable, you need to be willing to be helpful. You need to be useful to people. How can you add value? And sometimes adding value is not adding value from your business or your knowledge, but it's just a referral, for instance, of another service that you don't offer that they actually need. One of the biggest ways that I have been able to really just add value to the people's lives that I connected with was being able to connect with them on a more personal basis. I like getting in kind of how people are doing, how their personal lives, how's their prayer life, and all of that. And before I even sell you anything, or before we even talk about what I do, sometimes I like building that relationships where I'll be praying for that person, or particularly just refer them to a sermon I just watched that has really blessed me and has really helped me to kickstart the week. And I'll send them an email with the link, or a WhatsApp with the link, and say, listen, this blessed me, and I thought of you in the conversation we had about a week ago, but you feeling drained, and I hope that this is going to revive your soul and you're going to be good, and da. But always be in a position of asking yourself, how can I add much more value to this person? Because I think when you add value to people's lives, people eventually treasure you. People eventually kind of bring you close, and you get to build that likability, mainly because you're a person of value. Like, be a woman of value. I laugh because that really caused such a whole thing on Twitter the other time. But be a person of value, right? What value are you leaving within the people that you are graced to associate yourself with? It is very, very important. Go the extra mile all the time in your connections with people, and see how much people are going to begin to gravitate towards you. The third one is likable people are interested in others and are very helpful. I think I've also touched a little bit about this in the previous point, but take interest in others. Ask others questions. Do they have children? What do they like? What do they do in their spare time? People love talking about themselves, and if you can make people talk about themselves, I can promise you, you will be one of the most memorable person in the whole room, mainly because you just made them shine. You made them feel like they were so important, and that's generally how people feel. When people talk about themselves, they feel a lot more important. So if you can get somebody to talk about themselves a lot more, they will continually feel important, and when they feel important, in their minds, you made them feel important. There's a saying that says something about how people will not remember what you say, but they'll remember how you made them feel. That's exactly what the saying says. I don't remember who the saying is from, but I remember the saying. If you want to make people feel good, make them talk about themselves. I promise you, you will not go wrong. Ask them questions. What do they like? Oh, great. So where did they go? What do they do on holiday? Oh my goodness. Especially for new moms, ask to see pictures of their kids and watch them show you 100 pictures, and watch them remember your name after that, and remember who you are and what you do, because you've made them talk about themselves. Super, super important. Be interested in others and be helpful. Again, what value can you add in these people's lives that can enhance them and can make them better? The last one, likable people address people by their name. I literally got this tip from Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. I read that book in 2013 or 2014. In 1 year, I think I read it over 4 times because it was such a great book. The moment you start addressing people by their names and saying Michelle, Tandy, Lisa, this person, Bali, whatever, I promise you there is something personal about addressing somebody with their name versus just saying ma'am or this lady or you guys or whatever the case is, especially if you can remember their names. So you just basically start working on remembering people's names, okay? But start addressing people with their names. If you just met somebody and their name is Lisa, when you talk to them, imagine somebody you just met coming back to you and saying, yeah, well, Lisa, I actually think that this is a good idea. The fact that they mentioned your name, I promise you, in your subconscious, it kind of sits as though they already know you, and they make you feel important, because our names make us feel seen. It could be a room of 50 people and I'm the only Michelle in the room. So if you say, Michelle, I know that you were listening to me, I know that you paid attention to me, and then that makes me feel important, and because I feel important, I remember how you make me feel, then I will remember you, and then automatically start liking you. That becomes a very, very important tip. So those are the 4 tips that I wanted to share with you that are going to help you be likable. Now start applying these tips today, you guys. I promise you, you're not going to go wrong. Start with names. If you are an influencer or someone on social media platforms, you can start going live on Instagram and start talking to people and literally addressing them by their names, not saying you guys or calling them fans or followers or whatever the case is. The tip really here is to make people feel good about themselves, and that way they'll remember you, that way they will like you, that way they'll gravitate towards you, and that way they'll begin to want to buy from you. When I have applied this tip, guys, I've seen people come to me for a service that I don't even offer. Because they like me and they trust me, it's like, okay, can you then refer me to someone that would be able to give me this service and. So it is important that when you do these things consistently, genuinely, intentionally, you have a higher chance of building relationships that are going to last and relationships that are going to be part of your networks, and you've got a higher chance of building that likability in anything, because people might not even remember you, but they'll remember that there was a girl who was dressed in black that day and she was so well spoken, she was so good, she did this, whereas all that you did amongst all those things that they're talking about, which are very true, was just to address them by their name and you made them feel important. So if you liked this video and this video was helpful, or you know it would be helpful to someone else, please do share it with them. Share the link on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever social media platform that you are on. And if you have tried any of these things, or you literally have something to say about likability as a money-making skill, let me know in the comment section below. Let's have a fun time, let's chat. And if you liked it as well, please do give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, you guys. It is absolutely free. You don't pay anything to be subscribed to the channel. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you once again for tuning in on this channel. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.